Greetings, amigops and top teners everywhere. This is Mike from Top 10 with Kyle and Mike. I am joined this week, as I am every week, by our lovely co-host, Kyle. Now, Kyle is further joined by our lovely co-host, his sister-in-law, the very interestingly named, yet another one of the Allegis family. We're not saying her last name, though you could probably figure it out on the old internets. Anka. Anka is here to talk to us about something. I have no idea what it is. I bet it's going to be cool. It might be about high ponies. It might be about headbands. It might be about indie records. Who the hell is to say? But we will be discussing this thing for about an hour, debating it vigorously. Then, by the end of this episode, we will have you a definitive top 10 of that list. One of our first of the year 2020. So, friends, what are we discussing today?
Thank you, Michael, for that fantastic introduction. You are correct. Anka is with me here today. I am visiting Anka and the family for Christmas, and we've got a little post-Christmas podcast special coming up. I have no idea what we're talking about, which is fun. Usually,
oh, you don't?
No idea. We usually...
Oh, I really like that.
Yeah. One of us usually knows the topic, but I felt very comfortable letting Anka take the reins on this one because she is an avid listener. She understands the vibe and the gist of the pod. And also she has excellent taste and judgment. So I'm very excited to hear what we are going to be talking about. So the only other note I have is that we are in the basement. We are near the sump pump. So if you hear a silly noise, it is not us farting. I think it is just the sump pump.
Very loud.
And if you hear a different silly noise, it is them farting.
Yeah, and trying to play it off as the sump pump.
Yeah, it is funny though you say that Anka understands the genre. I feel like what we have here is when an auteur does a genre movie,
right?
And they talk about how this director both engages with and transcends the genre. Like we have an actual cool, interesting person on this podcast today who has come in to engage in our silly little game, but at the same time totally raise it up.
This is like when Mendes did Skyfall, and it was
yes, 100%.
Yes. Or when Ryan Johnson does a whodunit, which, by the way, everyone should see Knives Out. But without further ado, Anka, I'm on pins and needles.
All right.
What are we discussing?
So it's funny that you mention about how cool I am because my list is top 10 most embarrassing things I or someone I know has done their freshman year of college. So overall...
Bravo. What a great one. Oh, this is so good.
Overall, just the top 10 most embarrassing things you can do.
Oh, this is... Okay, well, first of all, like, it's definitely going to be a contextual thing, because I imagine, like, the most embarrassing things that you have done as a freshman pale in comparison to some of the things that we've done, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, where does not socializing and hiding in your room for the entirety of freshman year is that high on the list, or?
You know, it's probably like in the middle. But yes, I thought it'd be fun, especially on today where our two schools are playing each other.
That's true.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. A good time for you guys to reminisce, and well, I guess me as well, since I'm not a freshman anymore. So
yeah, congratulations.
Yes, thank you. I made it.
You did.
Big sophomore over here. So.
Yeah. So Anka is a sophomore at Iowa State University. Mm-hmm. She is very, very cool. She's studying interior design, which we were having a conversation about before we got started here. It sounds fascinating. It's a fun combination of like engineering type skill sets and creativity. So that is just a little bit of context.
Wait, hold on. I didn't know that. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's talk about the inspiration. Like how did that become something you wanted to do?
It's like just been something forever that I've just I've always loved. I love like solving problems for like humans within design. So I mean, I guess it started out when we were redoing the house. Like, my dad let me pick out the colors of the rooms. He didn't pick them. This room, I actually wanted it to be navy and gold, and that was before, like, Allegis ever wanted to go to Notre Dame. I think it was when she was, like, 10, because I think I was around 3 or 4.
Oh, my God.
And then that's actually, like, what the living room is, like, a variety of those colors. But one I always tell people that I can, like, think of is... when I was younger, the church we grew up going to, the old people were getting really old there. And well, they were getting much older.
Yeah, well,
No, it happens.
by definition, yeah.
It happens. And they kept falling up and tripping down the stairs, like, on the altar. And it's, like, just a quick design solution they did, because the steps are marble. They just put, like, a little gold tape on the edge of the steps. Like, just something really little in the design that, like, saved so many people. And, like, and that's just one I always tell people, but there's so many, like, times in my life where I was like, oh, yes, this is when I wanted to do interior design. And yeah.
Wow. What do you picture being the application? Like, do you have a particular, like, field you want to go? Like, how do you want to use it? What do you think you'd want to do when you grow up?
When I grow up, I want to be a commercial designer. So I would really love to design, like, office spaces, especially co-working office spaces. I think that would be really fun. And we did a project for that already, which I was really into. When I'm older and I have, like, family and kids, I kind of want to, like, you know, move out of a big city and maybe do, like, residential design at, like, a smaller firm.
As always, like, your entire family is A, so cool, and B, so thoughtful. Like, that's so cool to me that you have such a different and well thought out vision.
Thank you.
I'm into it. Very into it.
Thanks.
So that's the necessary context on Anka.
Yeah.
It, I think, means that we'll be doing a sequel, a really cool interior design podcast at some point. But
I'm very into that.
Before that, the origin story, embarrassing freshman year tales. I'm very excited about this as well.
Yes. Actually, before we get started, so I have wanted to be on this podcast for a really, really long time. And I could not think of anything. And so at my school, we have a really awesome church. It's called St. Thomas Aquinas. And there's, like, a student lounge in there, and that's where I met all my friends. Anyways, it's called STA. And one time after, like, a meeting, I was like, I have to make a top 10 list. I need so much help. And they gave me a lot of doozies that night. And so I made a mini top 10 list of the best to worst top 10 lists I was given.
Oh my god.
If I could just read this off really fast, there's some really funny ones.
Oh yes, I would love to hear these.
I'll just go through them really fast, and there's some explanations behind why they were bad. But, okay, number 10 is top 10 ways to get kicked out of Walmart, Experience Edition. I think it'd be funny. However,
Wait, did you say worst to best?
No, best to worst.
Oh, okay, because that's so good.
It's so good. However, I used to work at a store. I used to work at Walgreens. Not like Walmart, but people would come in and disrespect it all the time. So I just feel like I personally can't do that one.
It's too soon.
It's too soon.
Yeah.
Too many war stories behind that. Number 9 is top 10 list of things adults say when they're trying to be hip. Examples are, I don't know how to open up a PDF and hashtag adulting. I think that one would be really fun. However, Claire's podcast was a lot like that.
I think those are far enough apart that we could and should do that, but continue.
Okay.
Yes.
Like I
That's
said.
mostly, that whole episode could just be me and Kyle trying to imitate Claire.
Yeah.
It could. So a sequel. Follow-up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 8 is top 10 plot twists in The Good Place.
Oh.
Ooh, no spoilers.
Yeah.
No spoilers, though. Number 7, which is impossible because all of the plot twists are spoilers.
Good point.
I just mean don't spoil right now to me.
No.
Yeah.
Number 7 is top 10 terrible flirting experiences and terrible first date ideas. I said this one could be bad because I'm friends with a lot of my exes.
Yeah. I'd say every time I ever tried to flirt with a girl in my entire life would be worst flirting experiences. I am not good at it.
That would be an excellent counterpod to when Quinn and Emma, like, who are masters of dating each other, did good dates. But
yeah. Yes.
Yes. Top 10 cold openings for The Office. I said this one would be boring because we all know number 1 would be fire drill.
Oh.
Yeah.
Unquestionably.
for sure.
I remember when that happened. I was in school and one of my friends was cool enough to actually be watching it at the time, and she explained it and it was just blew my mind.
So funny.
Plus, Ian would want to do that one for sure.
Oh, for sure. I don't think I could do it on air
Yeah.
knowing that someone else in the family would do it better than me. Number 5 is top 10 Iowa State traditions. I just thought that one would be kind of boring, to be honest. The only tradition we have is we have 2 buildings that are pretty far away from each other on Central Campus. One is Curtis and one is Beard Shear. And we have a campanile, which like rings every hour on the hour.
Mhm.
And at midnight, it strikes 12 times. So a little challenge is to start at the front door of the first one, undress all the way.
Oh, no!
Run all the way across campus to the other one.
Minus that
Oh,
part.
my God!
Minus
I've
that
never
part,
done it.
that sounds really fun. Like,
Yeah.
No, I would do that clothed.
yeah.
I know. So
Jeez,
that's really
my butt flapping in the breeze. Like, no.
No one wants to see that.
no. A lot of people
Oh,
get in
God, no.
trouble for it, but that one's like probably like the funniest, and I was like, not that much to talk about. Number 4, this one would be kind of funny, but not very relatable, is top 10 things people have said in design when they're presenting their work. One of them is ordinary into extraordinary, but she pronounced it extraordinary.
I see, to me, that sounds like something I would love to learn more about, is like the lingo of a particular trade.
Yeah.
Which we've always said we want to do more topics that we don't know as much about.
hmm
So again,
These are more just like embarrassing things people have said when presenting their work. The next one, we had a robot project in our drawing class last year where we had to like use cylinders and stuff.
sure.
And this guy, he was trying to present his work, and he was like, well, they're just in the back of a van rolling blunts. These robots roll blunts. And my teacher was like, she's like super hippie. Remember Mr. Psychowitz from Victorious at all?
I missed that show. I know
Okay.
your family
That's fine.
loves it.
That's fine. Okay. Well, that kind of vibe as a teacher, and she was like, "Oh, we all love that. We all know we love that." And I was like, "I don't know." And she was like, "But I would have to fail you if you added that into your project. So what if the robots are just like rolling burritos?" So silly things like that I've written down throughout my time in design. Number 3 is top
That's
10
incredible.
things I have thrifted.
You are a master thrifter.
I am a master thrifter. Number 2 is top 10 things that should be put in a living room. Just kind of boring.
I'm shaking my head because you've now given us like 8 great ideas for top 10s.
Yeah, these are all better than anything I've got currently rolling around my skull.
Well, number 1 is the worst. This is top 10 shades of blue.
Yes, that would be terrible.
That's a hard
Why would
one.
I have to contend with this from time to time? This is not a visual medium.
No. And
Like, some of
yeah.
these things, they really require you to paint a picture, and that would be a tough one.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yes, some of those are fun if you twist them in a certain way, but for the time being, we had come up with this list, and it's much better than all of those lists, because I couldn't think of a 10 for any of those.
Yeah.
Maybe filling those out would be difficult.
Periwinkle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Royal. Navy.
Midnight. Well, I hope they're listening. Thank you to all of Anka's friends for helping her brainstorm this idea that we're going to talk about and all these fantastic ideas that we may talk about later.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, friends.
Yeah. Wow. Excellent shout out. Are you keen to get started on your Tales of
Yes.
Freshman Woe?
I am ready. I'm glad we had that little icebreaker
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yes.
Me too.
All right.
Well, the design process is important. So
Yes, of course. I appreciate that. Yes. Okay. So, 2 things I've decided to not talk about are drinking and relationships.
wow, I think that's very wise.
That's
of you.
an excellent move on both fronts. Very, very into those decisions.
Yes. Drinking wasn't a part of my freshman year, and relationships were, so there's just no good spot to talk
I
about
would
that.
say that precisely describes our freshman year too.
Yep. We are in the same boat.
Kyle and I were not drinking, and we're both in relationships that evolved.
Yep.
Yep.
Mike and I were mostly just playing Skyrim and Batman in our dorm room. So
That's about it. And it was let me be very clear. Precisely the freshman year I wanted.
Yes. Yes, it was fun. It was fun. So Iowa State has over 36,000 students. Just
Holy
to give us a little bit of a range of how many eyes saw me do these embarrassing things.
So about 72,000 potential eyes to witness these things.
Yep.
Well, let's be fair.
Yeah, and some
Somewhere in that ballpark.
we don't know what's going on with it.
Yeah. Okay, so at number 10, I have my friend David. to help me out with this one. Number 10 is filling out the entire one app scholarship and realizing a year later that you had to actually go in and apply for all the scholarships. So we spent the entire afternoon on Sunday. We made sure our homework was done on Friday night so we could spend all of Saturday doing this scholarship, being like, oh yeah, not a lot of sophomores do this, but then not realizing until a year later, so this year, we got an email saying, like, time to fill out the one app, and realizing that you actually had to go into each individual scholarship and apply for it.
Oh, no. So you had just applied for one scholarship?
We had applied for 0. We had filled out, like,
Zero.
Our profile.
Oh,
yeah, you did the master portion. This is just like on New Girl when Winston thinks that he forgot the back page of the police academy test.
Yes.
He then realizes that there is no back page because it was taken online. But,
yeah.
That's brutal. This is more of a bummer than embarrassing.
Yeah, it sucks.
It was embarrassing because we had told so many people about it. We were sitting in the lounge and we were like, oh yeah, just filling out the scholarship. And like for many months afterwards, we were like, man, people are hearing back from that. Oh, what is going on?
We must have gotten a lot and they're still filling out all of our paperwork.
Yeah, we were like, wow, that's crazy. Oh my God.
Special dispensation to give us so much money off.
Yeah, and then we realized our disappointment when the app came out again and we had received no money.
Right. That's a really truly tough one because like there are lasting and real implications of not having as much scholarship money.
Especially when she was forced to sell a kidney. Like that's number 9.
Yeah.
Going to the place and selling the wrong kidney.
Yeah. Oh, the left kidney. No.
We were looking for a right, actually.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Bummer. That's tough. I, as someone who has a lot of difficulty filling out forms, that's something that speaks true to me.
Yeah, this feels like something you would do.
Absolutely. This is right up my alley.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just so disappointing, and then like not being able to get angry about it because you were the one that just didn't fill it out.
That is absolutely the worst part of it. There's really no one to blame.
Yeah, I'm sure it said on there, like, somewhere in the instructions, like, oh, make sure you go in individually and fill these out, but I didn't read those, I'm sure. I know myself. I know me. I probably didn't read the instructions.
It is nice that you did it with a friend, and so there is a commiseration factor.
Yes.
And we'll laugh about this someday kind of vibe to it, maybe?
Someday.
Someday.
There's too much trauma to fill it out again, you know, like,
sure.
I can't go through that again.
Hot start.
Yeah. Okay, number 9?
Yeah.
All right, number 9 is just kind of broad, but experiencing some really awesome things with people that could become complete strangers or really good friends. And so I have 2 examples from this. I tried really hard to meet friends right at the beginning of the school year. So I went to these like workout classes. Like I go to the gym. I don't go to the gym, but I would go to these workout classes. It was this like trampoline class I took. And
thank God you have the appropriate headwear for this.
Yeah.
Your hair would have gone nowhere.
Yeah. No, I'm sure I wore it in a bun that night too. And I met these girls and they ended up like being like, hey, come over, like, come hang out at our dorm. And I was like,
yes, it worked!
I was like, sure. We went out to dinner, and then they walked me all the way back to my dorm. And I never talked to them again.
Oh!
I actually saw one of them in this coffee shop right at the, like, during finals week, and we talked for a really long time, but I could not remember her name.
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah. And then the next one is the West Virginia football game last year. We ended up storming the field, and I was in the 3rd row for that game. And it ended up being with like a lot of my friends that I know now, and we have like a bunch of pictures together. But I did not know anybody then. I was like, oh yes, you're Logan. I know. Yeah, oh Haley, hello, you know, like stuff like that. And but now they're like all my really good friends. So like it's fun to like look back at those videos and pictures. It's not like necessarily embarrassing, but it's like just what freshman year is all about.
It's absolutely true. I think Mike and I were lucky enough that we started spending time with each other like immediately.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny to look back on a couple of like what I think in our minds were like these are foundational experiences that will last for the rest of our college tenure. And then it's just it's not like a person to person thing. It's just like you end up not spending time with people you don't expect to, which is, I think probably true of most people for their college experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have a similar story. The details are kind of unnecessary. The only point is I spent a lot of time with this person early in our career, and then later, I don't know if it was freshman year or what, but we lived in the same dorm, and all you need to know is we had a conversation that ended with, "It's Mike, right?" And it was like, you should probably know this. And it was really painful.
That sucks.
Yeah, tough one.
Yeah.
But it's the kind of thing that happens naturally when you're in that state of like, I need to like really be out there and make friends. And so you're like having a lot of interactions and seeing which ones stick.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But that's the part that's not embarrassing, is that I have to say, this only happens when you're putting yourself out there.
Yes.
Which is not an embarrassing thing at all, and which just naturally entails some risk.
Yeah, maybe that one's not that embarrassing. I think it's...
No, it's definitely embarrassing. This was embarrassing. They definitely didn't want to hang out with you again, so that's embarrassing. But you should be proud of yourself for giving the effort.
Oh, yes.
It's also funny because I remember... after like you'd been there for a little bit and we were all here or something, and you were like, well, I'm having, it's tough to get traction and make friends, and we were like, yes, obviously, like we all went through the same thing. It takes some time, et cetera, et cetera. And then we dropped you off at school and we were helping you do a couple of things. And
oh, yes.
like you had painted the picture, you're like, I have no friends. And we were like, well, that's probably an exaggeration. And we were on campus for like, I don't know, like an hour and a half. And in that time frame, no less than like 50 people were like, Anka, hi, how are you?
It was not 50.
Is this your family? It felt like 50. And so like...
we just got really lucky where I had run into a lot of people that I had known.
Yeah.
Like clubs that I had tried to join. Or like, and half the time... like
trampoline class.
Yeah.
Bouncy house class.
Yes, the trampoline class.
Hula hoop class.
The point is, kudos to you for getting out there. And obviously it paid off because you have a bunch of great friends that give you awesome top 10 ideas.
Yes.
But
yes. Thank you, John, Adam, and Lily. Yes. I have definitely gotten lucky with the people I have met so far. But, okay, number 8. This one's embarrassing. So my birthday last year, my birthday is March 5th. And so all of my friends are Catholic at school. March 5th was Fat Tuesday, the day before Lent starts.
Yes, it is.
That was my birthday. And because I had told one person, just trying to be, like, humble at the beginning of the year, like, oh, yeah, like, I don't really love, like, celebrating my birthday. Like, just trying to be nice, like, hoping, like, I had made more friends by then. They would do something, since it was one of, like, it was my birthday and it was Fat Tuesday.
Right.
I ended up buying my own pizza on my birthday and eating it alone.
Oh, no.
Yep.
I'm picturing, I know this isn't what actually happened, but I'm picturing the scene in Mean Girls when Katie is sitting on the toilet, all like huddled up eating her lunch.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't like that. I wasn't in a bathroom. I ended up actually, I was with people like in the lounge at our church, and they were just kind of like, oh, it's your birthday? Cool. And funny because, like our big friend group, like, how you have like your close friends, but then you have like your
extended friend group.
The big group that's like all kind of friends with each other. There's 3 people in that group that all have birthdays on March 14th.
Whoa.
And so,
Pi Day?
Yeah. And then there's also a guy who has a birthday on March 8th. So very close to my birthday. And we like went to Insomnia Cookies for the guy whose birthday is on March 8th. And then we all went out to dinner on the 14th. And I was like, and I had to buy my pizza.
I ate a pizza by myself.
I had an entire pizza.
You saw the potential.
Alone.
On Fat Tuesday.
Oh my god.
So that one brings back some memories for sure.
Oh, tough break for our guy Anka.
Yeah, tough luck. It's... I hope that your sophomore year birthday goes better than eating a pizza by yourself. But also, like, I feel like the society's kind of stance on this in general has changed a lot in the last couple years. Like, eating a pizza by yourself on your birthday, I feel like, is also celebrated in a lot of circles. So this one included. That sounds
Definitely celebrated in my circle.
Yeah. I mean, it was nice. I bought it, so I didn't have to share it, which was nice.
And hey, it was Fat Tuesday.
It was
like,
Fat
if you're gonna
Tuesday.
eat a pizza by yourself on any given day, that's the day to do it.
On a Tuesday, of
That
course.
is the day to
do
it. We had most of the week left. It felt right, but
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It was only Tuesday.
it's only Tuesday. All
That's
right.
great.
So
Did you prepare a not top 3 for this list?
I did. It's not my best.
It's so hard to do not top 3 sometimes.
Especially when you're already doing like a sort of worst themed.
Yeah.
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 Yes, I was stuck between a few things. Either like not top 3 being like 3 of the coolest things I've done my
Yeah,
freshman
like your
year,
most glorious moments.
Yeah.
or
And then it's like, how hard do I flex?
yeah.
Right?
I was just embarrassing all of freshman year, so there's not much to it.
or that.
Or that.
Yep. It's also a possibility.
Yeah, I couldn't think of 3 things. No. So,
If you want to do a not top 3, I think you know the procedure. We do
Yes.
have to introduce the segment.
yes. So, Kevin, will you cue that stanky beat?
Wow.
Wow.
Amazing stuff.
One of the best cues we've ever had.
I'm honored.
You know the lingo, you know the inflection. That was delivered better than I could have done it myself.
And of course, the stank was with us.
Oh, it was stanky today, Kev.
Yeah.
It
Thank
was
you,
great.
Kevin.
Yep. Okay, so I decided to go with the most freshman things I've done sophomore year.
Oh!
Oh, I like that.
Of course, you would slay
Yeah.
the not top 3. Go.
Yep.
Wait, what did you? Go off,
Yeah.
Anka.
Go off.
Go
Yeah.
off.
So
That's Kyle's first entry into the embarrassing things old people say pod.
Anka said it the other day, and it was so cool. It's like, I don't even care how stupid I sound. I'm saying that at some point this weekend.
Talia was saying something about tea, and I was like, go off.
Go on.
Go up. Okay, so number 3 is signing up for multiple things, like at clubs, groups, and relearning that college is still really busy. But having to relearn it, you think I would have
Yes.
learned my lesson. At Iowa State, we have over 800 clubs to choose from.
That's so many.
Holy cow, that's too many.
Too many clubs.
That's
And-
like, yeah, wow.
I had signed up, paid my dues, like freshman year. I had paid my dues for like so many clubs. Because in high school, I did like a lot of like volunteering clubs, and I was like, oh yeah, when I did that to college, even though those are so life-giving and so good, I had decided to do clubs like coffee club and craft club. I tried doing a service fraternity.
That's a cool concept.
That is a cool concept.
The only service they did was help Boy Scouts out. That's
Oh,
all they
interesting.
did.
Doesn't seem like they need that much help, but whatever.
So
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, okay. So just stuff like that. Which
It's a good concept.
Yeah, good concept. Good at heart. But then sophomore year, I was like, oh, I need to do all of these design related since I got into my program. I tried doing art club, interior design club, which they only had like 2 meetings, and I ended up not paying because they only had 2 meetings and I didn't go to the second one. And the last one was solar decathlon, which I was like, that's
What?
super cool. It was all architects and civil engineers. But what really turned me off is I got there and they were all like at a head table and they all were like facing one direction towards the screen. And I was like, well, this is... It started at 5 and my construction class ended at 5. And so I like ran to the building across campus and I showed up. I was like a little out of breath.
Sure.
And I get in there and like nobody talks to me. And I open up like what they're going through and they were like, oh, and what's your name and your major? And I was like, oh, I'm Anka. I'm a sophomore studying interior design. And they all were like in unison, like, you can just make things look pretty. And I was like,
Oh.
This sounds like a weird cult.
Yeah, I don't know how they're doing.
Welcome to our club.
It was
Well, that is not interior design.
It was not interior design. I was a little offended. I could have stood my ground, But
Wait, hold on. Time out. So you don't just arrange vases?
Well, it's a big part. I actually have a class about that next semester. Also picking out
pottery arrangement 101.
pottery arrangement.
Feng Shui 201.
Yep, that's exactly it. I'm honored that you know that. That's awesome. Yes. Okay. So just like knowing that you don't have time, but still trying to do all these clubs, I felt like that was very freshman of me, like running to all these different clubs and then not sticking with any of them.
Yeah.
Again, yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
For
That happens.
Third semester in a row.
Yep.
Okay, and number 1, this one's really funny. Living in the dorm.
Ah.
I know you guys can't.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys lived in the dorms.
Our situation's a little different,
Yes.
but Mike and I lived in dorms for 4 years, so.
Yes.
Yep.
However, at Iowa State, you usually move out after your freshman year and you
Right.
get an apartment. Well,
Yep.
I moved in with a girl that I had met, like, right at the beginning of the year. She was friends with my roommate from freshman year in high school. Just gonna leave it at that. But I call it the curse because the day I moved in, I didn't have a desk in my room. I don't know where it was. I don't know. I don't know how it got out of my room between the time the person who lived there before me moved out and I moved in. There was no desk.
Desk is a hard thing to move. Like,
That is tough.
It's pretty big. But then the second night, my room flooded.
oh, I remember this.
Yes.
Awful.
The bathroom, like the room with the bathtub, above my floor, there was a leak in the pipe and someone tied a sock around it. And so the pipe burst. And all of the water came into our room.
Fool of a toque.
I'm not a plumber.
Yeah.
But.
Disclaimer, we're not plumbers.
Yeah.
However, that seems like a terrible way.
That just seems like something
Plumber
I'd
Anka. Disclaimer, not an actual
Not
Not a plumber. Yeah.
heard happily.
Not a judge.
Yeah, so the fire alarm went off and we were like, well, that's weird. That's weird. So we all left, came back in, and there was water in the hallway just like coming down. It was coming out of our bathroom and we were like, oh shoot. Okay, that's bad. And then we like walked in and it was like the floodgates came out of our room and we were like, well, that's really bad.
Hashtag dorm life. Though I guess that theoretically could happen in an apartment. I think that's something that more likely is happening in a dorm, where a lot of young people that don't have much experience living in the real world might tie a sock around a leak in a pipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brutal.
I gotta say, this particularly this section of things, I feel like I'm reading like a young adult or like teen novel about going to college, and this is like the journal entries of like diaries of a cool high school kid who's not cool anymore.
That's what I had wrote at the top of this, is like my disclaimer was, let's be real, no one knew what they were doing their freshman year. I thought I was cool until I got into college and realized I was the opposite.
No, this literally sounds like the first journal entry in this novel that you're writing.
Yeah. Which I would read.
I would 10 out of 10 would read.
Yeah.
Somehow I managed to get through freshman year.
You made it.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Creative, I know.
The
okay.
Michael Scott.
Yes. So, yes,
My stand-up special. Here I go again.
So that was the not top 3.
Yeah.
Maybe I couldn't think of a lot of ideas because maybe I'm not as embarrassing anymore.
I think this is a sign of your growth, and it's perfect because you only needed 3 for a not top 3.
Mm-hmm. I hope all my friends listening are saying, no, you're still really embarrassing.
No, there's definitely a top 10 list of freshman things you did as a sophomore.
We just chose not to share them with you.
They're definitely saying that.
They definitely are. Okay. And I'm probably making them listen to this. Okay. Number 7. This one comes from my friend Adam. He said, thinking everyone is watching you and caring about what you're doing. And he used this example of his first class. He said, I straight up didn't go to my first lecture because I was afraid of walking in 5 minutes late. And lectures at Iowa State.
So true.
The 101 classes are like 300, 350 people. Nobody cares.
Yeah, bro.
No, absolutely not.
No one cares about you or anything that you do.
No.
Yep. That is a good lesson for life.
You can walk into those classes and you'll see people like with their phones, like watching Netflix or scrolling, sleeping, maybe not there.
Or if you walked into, my freshman chemistry class, you would see me asleep usually.
Yeah.
I'm not a chemist.
Yes.
No.
But like that lack of caring is new in college for sure. Because like in high school, at least for me, this is probably not true for everybody, but like people really care what you're doing in high school. Like from a faculty and like authority perspective, like people will get on you for not doing homework or misbehaving. Whereas in college, it's like understood like this is at will on your part. So like if you don't want to participate, you don't have to, and no one's going to make you, which is like that kind of mentality extends to a lot of the things that you do. And it takes a minute to realize that for sure.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, over 36,000 people go there. Like,
and again, there's just a lot of people.
I could walk to class the same way, like every day, maybe like 2 minutes apart, and I'll see different people every single time. Like, there is no consistency. But you don't really know that at the beginning. You're like, everybody's watching me, and everybody cares what I'm doing, what I'm wearing, for like at least like the first few.
Yeah, right. And like everyone remembers that you wore that shirt 2 days ago, and where in reality, no
one remembered what they wore 2 days ago.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and then you realize that nobody has time to notice you because they've got so much shit going on.
It's like, you're lucky if you're even seen.
Hashtag depressing.
Oh, sorry. Was that too much?
It's not all roses.
This is the chapter where things start to go off the rails. It's like, dear diary, I realize nobody actually sees me. Good night.
I realized I am just one of 36,000. No, I'm kidding. I'm not. Not a
this
number.
This is like the Timmy Turner episode when he wishes to be. Doesn't he wish to be like everybody else?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The devastating.
Blobs. Oh yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I wish everybody was exactly the same.
Yeah.
That is oof. That's a good episode.
Terrifying.
Yep.
Okay, so I feel like this is when it really starts to get embarrassing and cringy. Okay. So buckle up.
Oh, good.
All right.
Good.
Number 6.
Click.
Yeah. All right. Wearing headphones everywhere. I feel like it's a very, not necessarily, like, okay, when you're walking, sometimes I still do that, but I mean everywhere. I mean, you're walking to the dining hall that's literally in the basement of your dorm, and you put on a song for those 2 minutes, maybe.
My favorite is the headphones, like, on the walk to the shower. It's like, did you need those?
Hype up, yeah. No. I mean everywhere. I wore headphones everywhere. Sometimes I would just go get laundry. I'd like be talking to my roommate and I'd be like, all right, time to go get laundry, and like plug in. Now tell me, does that make any sense to you? It's not like
it's interesting because this does later in life become like a reasonably necessary crutch. Like I will say, like as an adult out in the world, there are fewer people to interact with that you know well enough or like have enough in common with. So the headphones become a much more helpful tool.
Yes.
But in college, chances are you're going to go places and you're going to see a bunch of people you know, or if you don't know them, they at least share similar interests and background to you, and they might want to chat with you about like the football game coming up.
Yeah.
So it is a funny, it's a kind of an ironic thing about college. And is that all these people with headphones, this is the one time in life when you really don't need them.
Yeah. You can walk onto the bus and it's like quiet. All you hear is the bus, but it's like full of people. People are standing and everybody has their headphones in. And I'm not saying I'm not guilty of it still, because sometimes I still do it. But one thing that I've come to notice sophomore year is that one of the most mortifying thing is taking out a headphone when you see somebody that you know that isn't wearing headphones. So that's just like, so I see Mike walking down the street and I'm kind of like, I always am like, take out the one that's like facing him, and I'm like, hey, but like I internally am like, oh gosh. But
can I tell you what's worse than that? Because this happens to me, is when you pop the headphone out and then they don't interact with you.
Oh, that's worse. That is worse.
You do the like, you pop the headphone and you're like, and they just walk on by. That's worse.
Yeah, that is worse. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. No, I had an itch. I had an itch.
Itching my ear.
Yeah.
See you later. Yeah. So
I feel like that's an extension of kind of the same concept as the last one, where it's like I can wear headphones all the time now, so I will.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of that freshman year where it's like I can do anything I want, and then it takes
sweatpants. Sweatpants are a good example. Like most people in high school either couldn't or wouldn't wear sweatpants, and then in college it's like, fuck, I'm wearing sweatpants everywhere.
Or eating like an enormous bowl of Frosted Flakes with chocolate milk like every day.
Every day,
that
for
was
example.
Not like I did that.
Right,
but
yeah. It didn't sound like too specific or anything.
No.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So that's one thing I feel like I regret most freshman year is like... there's one time I walked into the lounge. So my roommate last year, I got permission to talk about her. I texted her last night because there's lots of stories about Isabel from last year.
Very considerate of you. I would have just probably talked about
that was very kind of you. I would have used full names.
We do this all the time with our friends. What are we talking about? Like a lot on this podcast. Anyways.
Yeah, so Isabel would sleep all the time.
Sure.
I would come home, but like the thing that annoyed me the most is when like grades came out first semester after she had been sleeping the whole year. I mean, she went to class and stuff, but she'd come home and just knock.
Sure.
And she got straight A's. She's like, "Oh, I got a 4.0. What'd you get?" And I was like, "Well, not a 4.0, Isabel." But one of the first weeks of school, I was like, "Well, she's asleep. I can't do anything."
Sure.
Not knowing how to live with somebody in a small room.
Right.
Well, so I took my design bag, and this is important to know for a lot of the rest of the things. My design bag was 18 by 24 inches. So it's a big...
Oh.
That's a big bag.
That's enormous.
That's a big bag. And so I took that over to my, like, STA, the lounge, and there were so many people in there, and they all kind of seemed to be a little bit older than me. I kept headphones on the entire time. People would come up to me, and I'd be like, "Oh, hello. My name's Anka. I'm a design student." As I'm, like, taking up this entire table, and they're all, like, congregating and talking, but, like, now all these people are my friends. But, like, I just decided to wear headphones in like, a community space. And this could be applicable for a lot of spaces, not just the lounge. Anywhere, really, that, like, you could interact with people. And they're talking to you, but you're like, "Oh, yeah, okay, yeah." And, like, put the headphone back in. Yeah. So
I want to note an embarrassing thing that you have been peppering into your stories, which is the description of yourself using your name, like where you're from and your major.
Yeah.
It's a very embarrassing thing that is hard to shake, like really hard to shake. And this happens in work too, especially if you do... if you're at a bigger company or you're doing a particular program.
Yes.
So, like, I started in this program called the Global Distribution Associate Program. And it's a long thing. It's a mouthful. And you'd be like, "Oh, hello, I'm Michael. I'm from the Boston area. I graduated from Notre Dame in 2015, and I'm a Global Distribution Associate." And they're like, "I'm Frank." Like, "Oh, you have a fully developed sense of self that doesn't depend on any of these random facts."
Yes. "Hello, my name is Anka. I'm 5'2". I live in Oak Elm. I go to Iowa State University. I'm studying pre-interior design. My favorite food is a taco."
And I made a robot that rolls blunts.
Yeah. Burritos. Keeping it PG.
Yeah, burritos, Michael.
Burritos.
Sorry. Pardon.
Rolling bleep. Okay. So yes, headphones everywhere is at number 6.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
That is a good one.
Okay, number 5. I know I talked about this a little bit as my sophomore year experience, but dorm life at number 5.
Yeah, very appropriate.
As a freshman, totally different experience than your other years.
Well, a big reason why is because you're assigned randomly to a place to live and a random group of people to live with.
Yeah.
Like, there's even if you decide to continue to live in a dorm multiple years like we did, there's still some agency in your decision at that point. But freshman year, it's really just like being thrown into a pool. And like, you don't know if that pool has been cleaned or not. Like,
it hasn't.
You don't know if there's adult swim time. There isn't.
Yeah. Well, see.
What I think... sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is this might be a little bit specific to our experience since we lived in the same dorm for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I think generally speaking, what's interesting is as you progress in your college career, if you live in the same dorm or at least in the same area or whatever, you gain a greater sense of ownership over that space.
Mm-hmm.
And with that comes the good and the bad. So like on the good side, you care a lot more about keeping the place, clean or keeping it quiet during quiet hours, whatever the case is. You treat it more as your home. That also means you walk around in more disgusting clothing. Like you don't really think about closing your robe quite as much as you used to because it's now my home. And so you kind of get a little bit of all of that. But like freshman year, this is not your home yet. And so you're there, you're very buttoned up, but you also just don't treat it like your home.
Yeah. Yeah, and so this is my dorm life experience is definitely, my freshman year one was so different. So one of the first times me and Isabel had hung out, we were at this thing called DIS, Destination Iowa State. I'll get into that later. But one of the guys in our group asked if we would ever be interested in dating boys. And she goes, well, no, because I'm a lesbian. She's like, I don't like boys. And I was like, that was the first I had heard of it. Not caring. I didn't care, but it was like, oh, maybe that was something you should have disclosed to me. So for the first 2 weeks, it was very we both were like, well, what do we do in front of this person? Do we get ready for bed at the same time? Do we shower at the same time? And finally, she just straight up told me one night out of the blue, she was like, hey, don't worry about changing or doing things in front of me because you're obviously straight, and why would I be attracted to you if you're never going to like me? I'm not attracted to straight girls. And I was like, fair enough, all right. And from then on out, we were so chill with each other the whole year. We were just so honest. But a few other things about Isabel that was very fun. She had this alarm clock that would...
Oh, God.
She would sleep through her alarm, so she had 3 different alarm clocks. One was, very, peaceful. One was, your classic alarm that everybody has on their iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
But the other one was built into her bed. So it was, a pad underneath her bed that shook her bed.
Oh.
And so her bed would constantly be hitting the wall.
Oh.
And she had 8 a.m.s. I'm pretty sure the whole...
Oh, God.
Our whole sophomore or freshman year. And it would flash, and it would, it would flash, light up, and then it would make... the first time it went off, I thought it was the fire alarm.
Sounds intense.
It was intense. I have a video of it somewhere on my phone. I could probably tell stories while I look for it. You could hear the sound. Oh.
Or we could post this later as on the Instagram or something.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like this one because it's interesting. I think you pointed to both sort of humorous and real life examples of growing up and learning to live with somebody else. For you, why would you sort of know what it's like to live with another girl, and especially another girl who's gay? Why would you know what it's like to keep up with the rhythms of another person's life? Because it's not something you've done.
Yeah.
And it's very funny, what good practice that is for life, because I have found, and Kyle, I'm guessing you would agree, but as you get older and you end up in different situations, life just becomes a lot less comfortable than it was when you were a kid. And so you kind of have to learn what your rhythms are and what the rhythms are of other people and how to sort of accommodate that. And that's a real crash course in that. You meet somebody who's could be nothing like you, and maybe they are like you, but maybe they're not. And you just have to figure out how to make it work. And that's probably the biggest real life skill that I learned is, you're going to just meet people who are just different than you. And, your choices are either don't make it work and kind of be miserable for an extended period of time or figure it out.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely was a learning experience.
It's a very impressive story, though. Obviously you handled your freshman year dorm situation very gracefully, it sounds like. And,
yeah.
But I don't know. There's just a lot of embarrassing stuff that goes along with, like you said, Mike, just learning how to live with other people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of stories on our end. Mostly my fault of just stuff that I did that was not taking account of others.
All of our faults, and just stuff that you just don't realize. You're so used to not annoying people.
Yeah.
you just don't think of yourself as annoying until you are with other people and you're like, oh, I might actually be really bothering this person, and I would never have thought of that.
Or worse, you are really bothering someone and it doesn't occur to you that you might be, and you have to navigate that.
Yeah.
Yep.
One more story about Isabel before we move on. But, so she met a girl November of our freshman year, and I get it, like, you have somebody over to your dorm, you don't really want your roommate to be there.
Sure.
But I wasn't allowed, wasn't allowed back in the room until Phoebe was gone.
Sure.
And usually Isabel would be like, oh yeah.
Sexile!
The old sock on the door, right?
Yeah, well, they did. Well, sometimes I would walk in and they would just be, like, holding hands, like, on the futon, like, staring at each other, crying. And I'd be like,
oh my god.
I'm just gonna grab my headphones.
Yeah.
That is so much worse than if they were mutually honking each other's boobs. That is just so much more intimate and private.
Yes.
I'd feel much worse about seeing that, I think.
Yeah, and
oh my god.
I walked in, it was around midnight, and they were like, oh, can we just have a little bit longer? And I was like,
Yes!
I was like, yeah, sure, let me just,
Take as long as you need.
let me just grab, like, my charger and my headphones. And so I go
Just
down
dab
to
each other's eyes.
I go down to the basement dorm, or the basement den, and it's just this big room full of couches, there's a projector, and
Sure.
I was like, okay, I can chill down here. Nobody's down here. It was a Saturday night. I fell asleep down in the basement.
Oh no.
I was wearing, like, jeans and a sweater, and these girls walked downstairs, and my phone had died.
Oh, boy.
The chart, something had happened, my phone was dead, and these girls came down, and they were like, oh, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, my roommate kicked me out, her and her girlfriend are upstairs, and they were like, oh, that's so sad, oh my gosh, and, like, they were like, well, do you want to have, like, a girls' night with us? And I was like, sure, yeah. And so I sat with them. They all had B-dubs. They had like cups of wine that they were drinking.
Wow.
And they
That's very sophisticated.
Yeah.
yes. And they started watching the TV show You, which we had started watching second season last night. But I could not watch that show for the longest time because it had reminded me of the time I was exiled to the basement, forced to sit with these girls that were all, like, having so much fun having a girls' night, and I crashed it. And then my phone was dead, right? And so at 3 a.m, Isabel and Phoebe, I was down there for 3 hours. Isabel and Phoebe came down and they were like, Anka, are you down here? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, you can come upstairs now.
Ooh, I actually can't. I need to watch the end of this first season of You.
So for the longest time, I could not watch that show. And I couldn't go down there because it just reminded me of being exiled.
Wow. That is, I think, a variation of that story is applicable to pretty much anyone who's ever lived in a dorm.
Yes, I think that one's very relatable.
Yeah.
That happened many times. That wasn't like a one-time thing.
Sure.
And one time I had a friend over, and it was like 11. It's like, oh yeah, we can watch a movie. And she came home and she was like, hey, I'm gonna go to bed. Do you guys mind taking this somewhere else? And I was like,
No, yeah, cool.
yeah, we'll just go to the den.
Wow, this sounds... I gotta tell you, I'm sure that Isabel has a lot of other redeeming qualities. Sounds incredibly inconsiderate and inconsistent.
You know, she's gonna listen to this. She asked me to send her the link. She is, but I love her. But she was very inconsistent.
Inconsistent.
Okay, so that was number 5, freshman dorm life.
Excellent.
Number 4 is not knowing your way around campus.
Oh my god.
So, that took me so long.
So long.
I remember Notre Dame has like 2 landmarks. There's the Dome, right? And the Basilica.
Mm-hmm.
And they're right next to each other. So if you can't...
Yes, that's the problem.
So if you can't see either of those things, you're really hosed, especially when you live right next door to those 2 things. I remember we went to a place that was far away during the middle of the day, and then we left when it was nighttime, and I looked around and there was a water tower, which I had never seen before, and there was no dome, and there was no churches.
Oh no.
Where am I? Like,
Yeah.
I thought I was never going to make it back.
Oh,
Where
no.
are we?
Yeah.
Funny you mentioned that, because my first time trying to take the bus, it was a 3-hour affair.
Oh no.
I kept missing the
A
bus.
3-hour tour.
Yes, and I finally was like, I called Talia afterwards, and I was like, is there some kind of code where do I catch the bus? Like, something like that. And because I had walked to the first bus stop, not knowing how a bus works, and I was like,
Sure.
oh, this is where the blue bus stops. And I was like, no, wait, it's over there. So I crossed the street, blue bus passed me.
Oh my god.
The next one, like, same trip, next time, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go stay at that bus stop. And an orange bus came, and I was like, oh, this must be the same thing. And so I get on the orange bus, and it takes me to the commuter parking lot, and I was like, okay. And I walked back to the same bus stop, and I was like, wait, that didn't work for me last time, so I walked to a different one. Another time, I got stranded at Lowe's. I missed the last yellow bus. And Lowe's is, you have to take a blue bus to the yellow bus. So that's telling you how far away it is from campus.
Yeah, wow.
It's on, like, the interstate.
Oh, jeez.
And we had...
See, but you are dealing with a whole different set of problems that we did, because
Yes.
our college was, our university, total, was such that I could walk from one end to the other in its extreme points in, like, 15 to 20 minutes. The scenario you're describing, like, Iowa State is an extremely large public university.
It is.
Like,
Yeah, that's like a city.
yeah.
It is a city.
With buses.
It is. It's huge. My dorm freshman year was a mile away from the design building.
Right.
Yes.
Holy cow.
And I never liked to take my design bag on the bus because, like I said, it was so
18
big.
by 24.
Yes, so I would just walk that every day to design.
Oh my god.
It was such a good, especially during the polar vortex. We loved that. It was refreshing.
Oh, Anka.
So good.
Oh my gosh.
It took me a while to figure out the buses. That's all I'm trying to say. But one time I was on the bus. I had made it on. I was on the right one. I was probably going to Salvation Army, Walmart, one of those.
Sure.
I didn't have my headphones plugged into Google Maps.
Oh, so it was telling you all the time.
Shoot.
The only thing worse than always wearing your headphones is always wearing your headphones and not plugging them in.
Tough break.
Brutal.
So
Rough.
I've heard a variation of that story where, like, you're in the library and you're listening to Destiny's Child, but you don't realize that your headphones aren't plugged in, and you're wondering why everyone's leaving the library.
yeah.
It's 11:30 and the club is jumping. Ladies and gentlemen at home. And,
Honey, let's go.
Roll 'em up. At least you were just listening to Google Map directions. It could have been worse, right?
I mean,
that's still pretty rough.
Still pretty bad.
Still pretty rough. Especially since I was on the bus and, like,
Yeah.
you just see it, Target and then Walmart. And
That's a good point. Like, you are, like, being taken directly to where you need to go, and yet you still had Google out. That's another layer of it. But you're right. Like, everyone on that bus knew you were a freshman.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. They
For
probably
sure.
they probably all, because everyone is watching you at all times.
Yeah.
Of course.
They're probably pointing at you, freshman.
Yeah. Oh, another time I was at Walmart. This one doesn't really have anything to do with not knowing your way around campus, but I was sitting on the sidewalk because, of course, I had just missed the bus.
Right.
As usual, I was sitting on the ground. The next one was coming. It didn't see me, and it just drove right by me.
You are just having a hard time with buses, it seems.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that was number 3. Not knowing your way around campus.
Or that was 4,
Oh, sorry.
right?
4. My bad. 4.
Okay.
You think I'd know. Okay.
You have a... Okay, so we like to talk about this sometimes, how people put their list together. Anka has basically what looks like a screenplay. Like, it's a Word document, which I've not seen done before, and everything is, like, bulleted out, and, like, things are bold, and things are italicized. Like, it's extremely narrative. Like, this is probably my first top 10 list that I would enjoy reading. It's very
I can share it
incredible.
with you if you'd like.
It's really cool. So,
Thank you.
do not sell yourself short. You know exactly where you are on the list.
Yes. I just misspoke. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Honorable mentions. One is talking about high school, something you did from high school, and or wearing something from high school.
Brutal. Brutal. I was the valedictorian. Okay. I don't care.
Yeah, or talking about your ACT scores.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
if anyone brings up their ACT score, definitely freshman.
Yes.
Yeah,
Gross.
wow. This is a good one.
Yeah.
I was the varsity blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Blah.
Yeah. I went to state my freshman year.
Oh, Christ. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
First of all, nobody cares no matter what. Second of all, you are surrounded by people who are going to be playing football in a bowl game or people who are going to get a Rhodes Scholarship. You're great. You're not that great.
Yep.
That's also definitely true. Like, you're thrown into a pool, like we discussed, but you're also thrown into it's an extremely large pool, which means that if you were used to being a big fish, you're not anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yes, that's
it's
life.
so fine. There's enough awesomeness in life to go around. Like, enough people are going to be happy and satisfied and productive. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's also, my dad always says this. He always says, hang out with people that are better than you. And, you know, to learn and to become better. And that's a really great thing about college is all of a sudden you're surrounded by a lot of bigger fish than yourself.
Yeah.
But it also means that you probably don't need to talk about high school as much as you are.
And to be fair, it's understandably a little uncomfortable. I will totally cop to finding that a little bit of an uncomfortable experience at first. It's hard to be around people who are so talented. It can unsettle you, especially if part of your identity is, oh, I'm good at X, Y, or Z. Like, I'm a great athlete or I'm really smart or whatever it is. It's a little unsettling, but it gives you an opportunity to reassess and find new things that define you. Like, oh, I'm actually a really good friend. Like, that ultimately is going to be more important than you are good at the hurdles in high school.
Yep.
That will carry you a lot further.
One of my teachers, senior year of high school, one of, like, the last days of classes, he was like, hey, so just so you know, like, you guys are going somewhere much bigger, much better. However, you are going to be surrounded by student council presidents, NHS presidents, valedictorians. He's like, you're literally going to a college full of people like you, so you're not that special, and like don't act like you're some awesome like superstar because you were in high school. You guys did great. And I know I did talk about high school at the beginning because that's, you know, everybody does. Yes,
it's your frame of reference,
right? Of course. But now when we talk about it, we're like, oh yes, we get all like sophisticated. We're like, oh yes, back in high school, oh yes, I was the communications director for Ambassadors, you know, like stuff like that. And they're like, and then we like always finish it off with, and now I can't get out of bed until 11 on the weekend. Stuff like that. We always like top it off with like, and now we're here, but we're fine. This is life. But yes. Another honorable mention, well, this one's personal for me, is carrying the interior or the design bag. Yep. I consider it to be the worst form of hazing because you have to take that everywhere. Yeah,
it's like your program is hazing you.
Yeah.
Or people with tubas. Like, there are people who use instruments all the time.
Yeah. Every time. So, like, at Iowa State, the design building is right next to the band practice field. And so every time I'm leaving around, like, 5, 6 o'clock at night, all of the band kids are walking with their instruments. Like, who knows where they're coming from? They might have been carrying that all day.
I think they're supposed to, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the rule.
Yeah, yep. Okay, so this one's kind of like looking back on freshman year and doing things and thinking now, like, who the fuck had time to do these things? Me and this girl, we used to watch The Bachelorette or Bachelor at 11 o'clock at night. We would start it. I would walk over to her dorm at like 11. She'd be like, oh, can you come over now? And I'd be like, sure. Like, already like in bed, ready to, and I'd be like, yeah, okay. So I like,
of course.
I'd walk over to her dorm. I'd be there until like 2, and then but now it's like I'm in bed by 11 if I'm lucky. You know, like strapped in, phone is off, no one talked to me, I'm done for the day. But freshman year,
alarms ready to roll.
Yeah. I was ready to meet friends. So freshman year, I was like, oh yeah, of course. I'll just, let me put on my coat, my boots, it's snowing. Yeah, I'll be over. Yeah.
It is interesting to get to the point in your college career where you're like, really invested in the stuff that you're learning and you're like really prioritizing it, because I think freshman year you can fall into the trap of like, not a trap necessarily, but like it's more gen ed stuff, and so you're like naturally really focused on stuff outside of that a little more. And then I think sophomore year is when it starts to happen where you're like, oh wait, I'm actually learning the things that I came here to learn. This is cool. Especially you. It should be worth noting that I would say it has a great interior design program, and not just everyone gets into it. So, and Anka is in it, obviously. So, very talented. And I imagine for you, it's been a lot of fun to start to like really get your hands dirty, like learning and like quote working on stuff that really excites you. So that's fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's been definitely like a journey getting there, but now like I'm like excited to go to class, which is like a first. Who knew?
And that doesn't happen for everybody, so it's
No.
really cool to see that.
Another one for that is this thing we have at Iowa State called H2O Battleship.
H2O Battleship?
As one does.
Yep, I heard on my tour, I kept it in the back of my head that you have to do it freshman year. And so with people that are now my friends, I formed a team, and somehow we made all of these different teams of 3. Let me explain H2O Battleship. You get in a canoe in the pool at State Gym, and you get buckets, and you just have to fill up the other team's canoe. And
That's awesome.
it's awesome until you do it, and you're like,
That sounds...
this is like 5-gallon buckets.
I was going to say, that sounds exhausting.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
It was terrible. But we would sit in that pool and watch like all of our friends play for hours, and it's like, who had the time? I don't even have time to think about going to the gym now. Like, yeah. H2O Battleship is fun. Never going to do it again. Oh, doing stupid things. I wasn't there.
Doing stupid things.
But when everybody had a meal plan, because you live in the dorms, you have a meal plan, but now everybody doesn't. There's a few people that do. But however, a group of my friends, they saw these honeydews sitting on a counter. They were going to cut them up, but you're allowed to take one piece of fruit from the dining hall.
Sure.
And so they all tried to take honeydews, and they called it the honeydew heist.
Mm.
And I think it was like 4 out of 5 of them got caught. And then if they got caught again, they were going to be banned from the dining hall.
Honeydew
Incredible.
is not a small fruit.
No. They tried
No.
they tried to make it out. Only one did.
Wow.
I think Matthew Bishop did. Shout out to you, Matthew.
Wow. The
You
sticky
thief.
fingers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you thief.
The wet bandits.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. That's about it. Okay. Number 3. This one is pretty
Top
embarrassing.
3.
Top 3. All right. So, this isn't necessarily something you just do freshman year. I guess it depends on your classes, how your professor works. Mine is a little bit different, but printing off the syllabus.
Oh, tough.
Yes. But mine is different. So like I said, I lived about a mile from the design building. Well, the library, is just right on central campus. So it's about halfway and between that.
Okay.
And I wanted to print off all my syllabi. But I got there and they have all these computers that you just log into. You print things off.
Sure.
Easy. Should take 2
Easy
minutes.
peasy. Yep.
I could not, for the life of me, figure out how to log into the computer.
Oh,
So I knew I had a flash drive back at my dorm. So I walk all the way back.
Oh no.
I get on my laptop, plug in my flash drive, save all the syllabi to my flash drive, walk all the way back to the library, plug that bad boy in, print them off. So embarrassed. Thinking back on it, probably no one saw me. A few people probably were like, oh, but like for me personally, not knowing how to log into the computer and walking that 1.5 miles or whatever.
yeah. I felt like you had the word nerd tattooed on your forehead.
Nerd, yeah.
There are so many just like small things that are so easy to do, but you just haven't done them yet, so you have to
Yep.
learn them. Like gaining access to a certain building, or just printing things or logging in that are, I'm sure now second nature. Like you would have no problem logging into that computer now, but the first time you do anything, it's just awkward.
Yeah.
Also, actually printing a syllabus.
That's to me the experience was embarrassing, but actually doing the printing is rough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or overinflating the importance of things. Like now, I might glance at a syllabus, right?
Yeah.
Or I don't know.
It's just not a very informative document.
No.
No, and I print it on every single one of them, printed off the policies that they have to put on
Policies. Oh no. Don't cheat.
Yep.
Good thing I have this printed out on paper.
In a folder.
Yeah.
Oh, color coded.
Yeah.
Highlighted.
Your syllabus folder.
Oh,
Collated.
okay. Number 2 is Destination Iowa State, so freshman orientation.
Everyone has a different word for it, right? Yours is
We called it Frosho.
Yeah.
Yep. So I feel like just the event itself is obviously because it's related to freshmen. However,
By definition, yeah.
I've heard going is like the most freshman thing that you can do.
Yep.
You get these t-shirts. They're white, very plain, have like the logo on the front, and then on the back they have the fight song. And what they say is like, wear this to your first football game. So like you have the song on your shirt. And they really set you up for failure. 'Cause you walk in and you're like, all right. And nobody's wearing it. Except for a few people. And you already know the fight song by then because it's so easy. Another one.
This is brutal. This is giving me pain.
This is by far the most brutal thing so far.
Yeah.
Like wearing this shirt that you think everybody's going to be wearing, and then there's like 8 people in a stadium of people.
But another thing you get is an Iowa State bag, red with yellow straps.
Okay.
And it's like a thing that, like, if you wear it, you're a freshman.
Ugh.
It's like a sign.
This is so bad.
You get a lanyard.
It says, kick me, I'm a freshman.
It's just like all the freshmen, like this, just like any, I'm sure like at Notre Dame, it wasn't a bag, and I'm sure it's not a bag at every university, but there's like some
Remember
swag
the
that gets
lanyard?
given out.
Everybody would have a lanyard for their keys. That was a big thing. Like, freshmen would wear their keys around their neck.
Myself included.
Yep.
Yep. But like if you go to the gym, you have your backpack or your drawstring bag with your Iowa State shirt. I'm guilty of it. The times I did go to the gym, you open up that bag and everybody's like, there she is.
Yep.
Jingling her keys. Moving into number 1, which is wearing a lanyard around your neck. I have so many memories of walking through Central Campus in between philosophy and English 150 with those keys bouncing off.
Oh, the freaking keys.
I got the alarm on my neck.
The thing is, like, I didn't need a lanyard. Like, no one needs a lanyard, right? Like,
No.
I have 2 keys, okay? One for my room, one for my bike. Like, I don't need a lanyard for that.
No.
No, I also think the entire concept of the lanyard is premised on a weird assumption, which is that keys are somehow more prone to being misplaced than other things. Like, I understand the concept that as a young person, it's possible you've never had to really, like, be responsible for keys before, but you're responsible for your design bag and all of the contents therein. Like, it's not as though keys just disappear more than a phone. So I think, like, why not just put everything on a lanyard?
Right. And how difficult is it just to put your keys in, like, your backpack, one of the small pockets, and then, like, when you need to get
pocket.
in. Or
like,
a pocket.
you wear pants.
You wear pants. I will say girls'
But
pants.
women generally don't have
the yoga pants.
It's absurd.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the other thing is, like, I'm sure this is true at most universities, but like you have like an ID card that you use to like get into buildings or buy meals or whatever, and like at least for me, I think I had that like in a case like on my lanyard. Like there's nothing you can do to identify yourself as a freshman more so than that.
Yep.
It's brutal.
Yep.
Oh,
I've got my
and like you said, the jingle, like the ching, 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 ching.
It's bouncing off and you're... It's quick access. You want to get into the door, you just scan your card.
It's super convenient.
Yeah,
it's
super
so
worth it.
Yeah.
Maybe not worth it. It's so embarrassing. I don't think I stopped doing it until, gosh, when I started wearing a winter coat. So it means from like middle of August.
Semester.
It was a long time and I wasn't friends with anybody enough. So there's a picture of me at the football game with like a group of people
wearing
shirt. My DIS shirt with my keys around my neck. I also found a picture from when, after H2O Battleship, with my yellow backpack and my keys around my neck.
Wait, do you have those?
I was gonna say, if you're not too embarrassed, that would make an excellent
please,
post
that would be perfect for our post.
Yes, I found quite a few funny pictures from freshman year with my design bag and...
like if you have these, please send them to Kyle
I
or
will.
directly to me if you have them. That's incredible.
Yes. Oh, for sure. Yeah, so that was number 1. I feel like that's the most embarrassing thing you can do.
That is definitely number 1.
That's it. There's no question.
Of all those things, like that's the one where you see it and like you don't even have to think about it. You're like, that's a freshman. If you're even noticing them at all.
Yes. But I mean, all eyes are on you, right? All 72,
exactly,
roughly. Yeah.
72,000 eyeballs.
Yeah.
Give or take.
Every single one.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of a single thing to add to this list?
This list is just incredibly comprehensive and perfect. This is exactly like Sam Mendes making Skyfall or Christopher Nolan making Batman Begins. It's pitch perfect.
Wow, thank you, yes. I'm glad I did all these embarrassing things now so I could put a list together.
Content, baby. It's all about the content.
I'm confident that you handled these with more grace than the average freshman, and certainly more than we did.
100%.
But I'm glad that you endured them, because this has been a fantastic few minutes of discussion with you, and I'm really glad that we finally got you. It is funny because there's kind of a running joke. Anka is not actually one of the siblings in this family.
Or even real.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, like, a bunch of times that your family came to visit Notre Dame, you had like soccer tournaments or something. So I just like hadn't met you for a really long time. Yeah. And then your dad thought it was so funny. And he was like, oh yeah, we hired this girl from back home to come with us and pretend to be Anka. We have to get her home before 6. Just like a funny, it's funny that you are the last of your siblings to be on this podcast.
It feels very fitting.
It really was. I'm glad we waited. Yeah, and everything. Soccer tournaments, you'd come here, I'd be gone, I'd be with friends. For the wedding, I was like the assistant to the maid of honor. Yeah. Just like everything I was.
I remember Dylan actually visited your home before I did, and you weren't there, right?
I wasn't there.
And so Dylan came back and he was like, I didn't see Anka, the mythical Anka. She's not there.
I'm
really losing confidence that she exists. But anyways, Anka, thank you for sharing these stories with us, and thank you by extension to your friends for letting you share some of their stories as well. You specifically, Isabel.
What a sport.
Yeah, we appreciate you listening and telling your friends to listen. It means a lot, and we're very happy to finally have gotten you on. So thank you.
Well, thanks for having me. Very fun.
This was a joy.
Do you want to do a quick recap of your list before we adieu?
Oh, yes. All right. So, number 10 is filling out the entire one app scholarship and realizing a year later that we had to go into the scholarships individually.
Actually tough.
More tough than embarrassing.
Yeah.
But definitely tough.
Yeah. Number 9, experiencing really awesome things with people that are complete strangers that may or may not become friends. Number 8, buying my own pizza and eating it alone on my birthday. Number 7 is thinking everyone is watching you and caring about what you are doing. Number 6, wearing headphones everywhere.
Yeah.
Can't emphasize everywhere enough. Number 5 is dorm life in general. Number 4 is not knowing your way around campus. Number 3, printing the syllabi, more importantly, off of a flash drive.
Yeah.
Number 2, DIS, also known as freshman orientation.
Oy.
And number 1,
oof,
lanyard around the neck.
The lanyard.
Bring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alert. I am a freshman. Fantastic.
Yes.
What a list.
I'll add on to that. I will say a couple thank yous of my own. First of all, to Kevin MacLeod, who mixes our stanky beats. Fantastic work by Kevin, as always. And of course, to my sister Erin, who put our artwork together. If you want to see more of Erin's artwork, you can do so at Sant Design on Instagram, obviously.
As one does. I would like to thank our social media director coordinator, Caroline Labranti. She is in charge of our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that sturf. You can find us on the social medias at Top 10 KM at all those things. I'm a little out of practice saying our social media stuff, so it's going to ramble. But it's always spelled out 10 TEN. Check us out. Thank you to Caroline for that. You can find her stuff at caroline.labranti photography or something like that on Instagram. If you want to shoot us an email with feedback, tell us what we did wrong, tell us you want to come on, praise Anka for her bravery in coming on and sharing all of these things, that's top10km@gmail.com. And finally, while you're probably listening to this on some sort of podcast app, you can find us on pretty much all of them. You can check us out on Stitcher, Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcast app, or really wherever your podcasts can be found. So that is what I would say, K-Dog and A-Dog.
I think that's all there is to say. A big thank you to all involved. This was a fantastic way to spend a Saturday morning.
Truly wondrous. Thank you, Anka.
Yes.
See you, amigo.
All right. Keen to do this again?
Faux show.
All right. Peace.
Later.